Daddy, look.
Hey folks, I'm here with my husband William Sariski, who is a licensed private investigator. He also owned his own agency here in Florida for 13 years. Will has also done acting and has a film credit for his work in the documentary State of Denial in 2018 with Erin Brockovich and Clay Kraske. Other credits include the podcast The Informant on Blog Talk Radio in 2010 and 2018, a commercial on ESPN, and voice over work. But today we will be discussing Will's work as a private eye. You probably have some interesting stories. What is one that comes to mind?
Well, I'm sure I got a few, but one that does come to mind in the industry, sometimes we do what's called a trash pull. And that's when you go out about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and just as it sounds, trash pull, you pull that trash in an old pickup truck or something you might rent because you're throwing someone's trash in that. When you get home, you then sift through that trash. What we're looking for is evidence that we can bag up and have a chain of custody. So on this particular job, there was some garbage bags inside garbage bags that were very dense. As we opened them up, something didn't seem right. There was newspaper wrapping with duct tape, and we're thinking this might be body parts. And to make a long story short, it ended up being fish guts. Somebody had filleted a very large fish, and that's what we uncovered, because there was also a very bad stench with that. So it's probably one of the different stories that you'll hear from a PI.
Will, I can imagine there can be some dangers in your line of work.
There's always a possibility of danger doing this line of work. One that has come to my attention, I had a gun pulled on me once, but it was really somebody, I was a business owner in a commercial area. I was working, was curious as to what I was doing there, and I did notice he had a gun he was holding behind his back. It made it pretty obvious, but I also had mine.
Private investigator, sort of like what we see on TV, or is it much different?
I get asked that question a lot, and it's definitely not what you're seeing on TV. We don't drive around in Ferraris. We aren't going out solving the cases. Most of what we do are to observe activities. It could be a workers' compensation claim for insurance fraud. We could be out looking for a witness, but most of it's surveillance, which means we are doing a surveillance in the neighborhood. We have to blend in, so we're watching for any activity for when a claimant, or what we call a target, is to depart a residence or a business and go about following him through the course of the day.
Will, why do you like being a private investigator? 3.
Well, there's a lot of reasons I like being a private investigator. One's the flexibility in my schedule, and basically I'm in the profession of helping people, helping them get answers when they don't have any. And we've been very successful in doing so. Whether it's an infidelity case and we're finding out what's going on, or a non-compete case and we're finding out what's going on, we're putting bits and pieces of the story together. And I find that very amazing that we're able to do this for our clients and be able to uncover the rest of the story. So it starts with somebody suspecting something, and we have the rest of the story for them. And to me, that's very gratifying.
3. What education do you need to be a private investigator, Will?
Well, here in America, laws vary state to state. So I can only really speak of the state that I'm licensed in, which is the state of Florida. The state of Florida requires you to study, pass a course, and then pass a test, a state exam test that you pass. Once you get that certificate, you'll have to find an internship, and that can go 2 to 4 years. And basically, you're interning underneath a person who already has a private investigation license. This is called a Class CC for the internship, and a Class C for the licensed private investigator would be called a Class C license in the state of Florida for private investigative work. And that could be a grueling process. A lot of people don't make it through that period because there's a lot of sitting in cars, there's a lot of travel, there's a lot of boredom. You're following people, you're observing without being observed. So it really is an art form in itself to try to do that. Like the next time you're in traffic, follow the car two cars ahead of you and see if you can make it through the red light without being stopped at the light. But there's, it can be a lot. The state who regulates the license, we are regulated on the Florida Department of Agriculture. They want to see some experience. Somebody coming with no experience would be longer in their internship. Somebody already having a related degree in criminology, criminal justice, that would probably give them a year shorter on that term for internship. And then you can make anything from nothing, no money, because you're the internship, to $30 an hour once you get there. So the pay grade does go up once you complete the internship. Now, a lot of states do have that, but I can only speak here on Florida.
Can anyone become a private investigator?
Before you can meet the criteria to go into an internship, even study for the exam, you have to make sure, at least in our state of Florida, that you have no felony convictions, no domestic problems with the law. If you have some misdemeanors and driving over the speed limit, things like that, you would probably have to file additional paperwork with that explaining why you had a charge 5 years ago. But for the most part, if you've got a felony conviction, no, you cannot, no matter what your educational status is. So they're pretty much looking for people to have clean records, that have the intelligence enough to pass the exam, competence to get through the internship. Before you can do that, you gotta have a clean criminal record.
Do you recommend for anyone to become a private investigator?
Again, it's not for everyone. It's for somebody disciplined or maybe has a military law enforcement background, a lot of sitting in the cars, a lot of collecting information, a lot of boredom until the moment of action when you're following somebody through traffic or in and out of a business establishment, getting out on foot. So it's a lot more than what people think is going to be involved than just having the title of a private investigator.
What types of investigations are there?
There's many types of investigations. When I got into the industry, and as most people do, they get into workers' compensation claims, and that's insurance fraud. I'm insurance fraud certified. So basically, there's an accident, they're claiming this disability or this injury. We're out there following them. It could be the course of a year to 2+ years. It's up to the attorneys and the insurance company. There's computer and cell phone forensic investigators, domestic infidelity, computers. There's all sorts of different. You can be a forensic investigator, dealing with corporations and looking for money laundering things, and dealing with computers and servers and all of that. And there's installing hidden cameras and GPS units, and that gets into a little bit of the law, which I don't recommend doing that, depending again on your state. But there's all sorts of different types of fields of investigation work.
Where do you see the future heading in investigative work?
I have seen this industry, as far as technology goes, back in the days when we used 8mm tapes to the little mini CDs, DVDs, to the what we have now, and now a lot of cell phones and compacted hidden cameras everywhere. So I see that being more in the future for surveillance. Once they figure out or give us the technology to have a drone stay up all day long, and we can program it to sit home in the comfort of our home or office and watch somebody, and that drone will become active and alert you when they're active, that's where I see the future going. So maybe we will be licensed drone pilots in the future.
Well, I know there's many people that want to be like you, a private investigator. Can you give some advice for them?
Well, it's funny because a lot of people think because they have Google that they're an investigator. I'm going to tell you now, private investigators have access to databases that's not available to the public. It takes proof of your agency and your licensing and a wait time to get through to those databases for a private investigator to use. So anybody that wants to get in the industry, there is a learning, a large years-long learning curve process and a personality type. If you're inquisitive, and just because you're good on a computer doesn't mean you're going to be a good investigator. Again, many fields of investigative work could be in computer cell phone forensics. A lot of women seem to like that field. Forensics is their key buzzword. But when they actually get into the work, a lot of it's tedious, boring. You're dealing with, if you have your own agency, you're dealing with clients, so they can be very demanding and unrealistic. So you got to take into accountability the field that you want, whether you're doing surveillance for a medical case and you're sitting in a hot car all day, or depending on the region of the world, a cold car and having to have the heat or AC on all day. It just depends, the type of person. If you can really do it, you won't know until you try. And again, here in Florida, it is an intern process of 2 to 5 years and a